Well, hello. It's time to do another lesson in our monthly development classes. I had a few things come up lately that helped me remember to go back to basics. And I think that's what I want to talk to you about today is bringing in the idea of working your development meditation, working with developing your psychic and your mediumistic abilities. Sometimes we just forget about those things we did in classes when we first started to develop. I think most of you probably have experienced um, different ongoing classes in person, but that's something that we have, challenges with, in this particular type of class because we can't practice with each other. It's difficult to do that, and it's time to start working on gaining confidence in your abilities. Now, I know some of you just are taking this class to get a stronger sense of inner self and connection with the divine and being able to um, receive information as you need it. But the best way to do that is to practice um, receiving information. You don't just get it. You have to practice getting it. And the more you practice it, the more that avenue opens up for you. You can't drive down a street if there's a lot of boulders and huge bushes growing up and debris all through it. But the more you move back and forth on that street, pretty soon those bushes and the weeds and things, they start to go away. You might get out of the car and push a boulder out of the way or clean up some of the trash. And that's part of getting to know your own process of receiving information. So it's trial and error. And even though I've been through formal classes myself for years, there still is a huge element of trial and error that I had to go through because I didn't get taught everything. And I'm not going to be able to teach you everything. But the more you work with it, the more you'll get connected with your own style. So there's a couple of things you can do on your own to start out with, and that is to collect some things through your house in a basket. I like to get a little straw basket and just go through the house and pick up a candle, a piece of paper, maybe a knife out of the kitchen drawer, a tube of lipstick, walk around outside, pick up a couple of leaves or flower petals, get a crystal or a gemstone. I even sometimes I put in incense, but kind of mix it up so that each element that you put in there, each object has a decidedly different vibration to it. And as you sit for development, then get into that quiet place. Don't go into a deep meditation, but just, start your meditation, get into that relaxed state, and pick up the basket and just hold one object. And recognize what it feels like. And I don't mean what it feels like in your hands, but what the energy of it feels like. Does it pulsate? Is there a warmth that fills your body? Do you feel jittery with it? Do you feel solid and secure with it? There's different concepts. Sometimes you'll hear things. Sometimes you'll feel things. Sometimes you'll see things depending on what the object is. Quite often, if you have something of nature like a leaf or a flower, you will actually see different things. I'll tell you a story about that in a minute if I remember after I finish telling you this. Then when that's done, put it to the side, pick up another item out of the basket, and it will immediately feel different. You'll go, okay, this is not that. This is something else. And what do I feel with this? Just take a breath, recognize that it's different, and then pay attention to how it speaks to you. Pay attention to how it speaks to you. With each item, recognize that there's a shift and that there's a different vibration there. And then refocus on that new vibration. And how does it speak to you? Is it really in words? Is it through your vision? Or is it a sensation of some kind? Do you just know something because you're holding that item? And even the things that you don't think hold energy, like a piece of paper or a tube of lipstick, you would be surprised, because everything that exists in this world at one time was something of nature. It all had to start from something of earth. It can be chemicalized, it can be created in a lab, it can be processed 50 times, but it still has the essence of what it started out as. So, and pretty soon it's going to go a little faster. It'll be, oh, I recognize that. That's a feeling of such and such. And then I get this shiver down my back. Thank you very much. Oh, I didn't say that. Thank you very much for letting me share with you, and then put it down. Pick up another item. And pretty soon you'll get this kind of rhythm going on. Then you'll recognize what the vibration is, and you'll thank the object for allowing you to be in its essence, and you'll set it down, which is a way of disconnecting from that vibration. And then you pick up another item and connect with it. There's this pattern of recognition, disconnect, recognition, disconnect. You have to know that you can't hold all of these vibrations from the whole basket and know what one thing is saying. It gets confusing, it gets to be overwhelming, and pretty soon things are so muddled that there's no way you would be able to do this practice. So every time you sit down to do this, maybe once a week is good, pick up something else in the house, and don't use the same objects. And pretty soon you'll start going through the house, and you'll just start, I'll put that back, I'll pick this up, I put that back, I'll pick this up, and you won't even realize what you're putting in the basket, which is kind of cool, because then you sit down to do your practice and your meditation, and you don't even really know what you're picking up. Don't try to figure out what the object is. Don't try to figure it out, because that's getting your mind, the conscious mind, overriding what you're doing, because this is the practice of allowing the conscious mind to go to sleep for a little while, and the subconscious connects with those universal energies that speak to you. So that's a really great exercise to do to help you get familiar with different vibrations and recognizing them and knowing how to let go of them. I was going to tell you this little story that I thought about while I was talking about nature stuff. Years ago, after our daughter moved to Florida, she was in Tampa, and she stayed in one apartment complex for a year and then decided to move. And, no, it was the very first time she was there. It was that first apartment. And we went down, help her move, and the first night we stayed over with her and got up that morning, and my husband got up earlier and said, I'm going to go run and get some donuts. And so he ran out, got the donuts, came back, and came in the house and said, "Oh, Bonet, what are you doing here? I thought you had gone." She said, "What do you mean? I'm not even dressed or anything." He said, "Well, where did you park your car?" And she said exactly right where she parked it, which was within view. He said, "It's not there." He said, "Come out here and make sure it's not here." And she went out, and of course she started getting frantic. Somebody stole her car. So we called the police. You know, Tampa is a huge metropolitan area. It took a long time for them to process a stolen car when there's other things going on, I'm sure much more important than that. So I said, I'm a medium. I should be able to know what's going on here. And I was pacing in the house and I wasn't getting anything. And I said, okay, I'm just going to take a piece of paper and a pencil, and I'm going to go out and stand by the place where the car was, because maybe I could pick up some, residual information. So I went out and I just stood there, and I realized there was a palm tree just across from the parking space. And I focused on the palm tree because it was really kind of just looking at the parking space. And I thought, well, you're right here. Did you see anything last night or this morning? What was going on? Did somebody take the car? What did they look like? What do we need to know? And I didn't really know how I was going to receive the information. Nobody had ever told me about talking to trees. I mean, you talk to them, you hug them and stuff, but you don't know how to receive from a tree. So I just was quiet and I just waited for whatever. I was kind of thinking about maybe I would get disjointed thoughts or words or something. And all of a sudden, pictures just flashed in my head. Just a still shot of a clump of 3 palm trees. Didn't make much sense to me, but I put down 3 palm trees. I drew pictures of it. And then a picture of a semi truck. Okay, I know a semi truck did not come in here and steal the car, but I made the picture. And then several other things came up. There were some words, I believe, that looked like it was on a sign, and I just drew them out. Thanked the palm tree, went back in, and I started, getting into the vibration of that, and everything kicked in, and I said, okay, we got to go. Well, Bonet stayed at the apartment in case the police called or we needed to check in. She was like the hub. Okay, so we got in the car and started down the main street, and he was getting ready to turn. I said, nope, we got to go this way. And I didn't know why I said that, but it felt right. And we went that way, and I said, you got to turn down this alley. And we did, and we kind of went around a big, huge circle and came up a certain way on this main street. And there was, and I'm getting confused about exactly how this happened, but the 3 palm trees was the name of a business with 3 palm trees and they're not, in front of their parking area, and it was called the 3 Palms Lounge or something. And I go, oh my gosh, look at that. And we pulled in the parking lot next to it, and then as we did, this big semi came and parked along the side. And we go, okay, something is right, but not sure what. I don't see the car. We just turned the car around and parked the car facing the street and trying to think of what we were going to do. And my eyes were just kind of surveying the area across the street. And I go, oh my gosh, look, in that parking lot over there. It was her car. It was her car. And we got out, walked across, went over, and of course the window was broken. and we didn't touch anything. We went back to, there was this was before cell phones. We went back to, or at least our cell phones. We went back to the car, and there was a telephone booth. We called the police and said, "We found the car. We found the car." And they said, "Do not touch it. Do not touch it. We don't know who was in it. We don't know what they did, or if something is rigged in it." And we go, "Oh my gosh, didn't even think about that." So they said, "We'll have somebody there within the next 2 hours." So we sat and we waited and we waited and we waited. And long story short, after a long time, they finally did come. They checked it out. There was nothing rigged in it. And we could take the car back home and get it fixed. But I guess that was a longer story than I thought it was going to be. But to tell you that you can talk to trees, you can talk to anything in nature, and they give you information back. So when you do this little vibrational exercise with the basket, you will be able to receive information from anything, because everything was at one time part of nature. The tube of lipstick, it may come across as a much more heavy sensation, or crass, or maybe shivery or shaky, or it won't feel as natural as a leaf would. Okay, but that's what's so great about this exercise, is that you get to experience all these different vibrations and then open up to what it might have for you. And if you don't receive information right away, don't worry about it, but you can actually ask, do you do you have a word for me, or do you have any information that you'd like to give to me? And if not, that's okay. Thank it and put it away and start with another thing. But just keep working with that practice, because it will give you validation. It's time for you to work on validation of what you're receiving. And since you are not in a physical group that we can share information with each other, there are ways of doing this that's going to help open up everything for you. I would encourage you to look around the place that you live, the community, and see if there are metaphysical bookstores or holistic centers that may be offering classes. There aren't that many anymore that have ongoing development classes, and that's why I kind of started this, but sometimes they'll have an afternoon exchange, or a meditation, weekly meditation or something, that you can start working with other people and recognizing what that's like. It's time to open up and allow things to be given to you, and then express what you receive and get the validation of whether it is true, whether it's partly true, whether it's not on mark at all. And then you'll get a better feeling of how it comes in. If that information that came in that really wasn't true at all, how did that feel? How would that come in differently? Did I allow ego to kind of play a part in that, or could it have been a lower entity or energy that was confounding what was coming in? So sometimes the information can be twisted a little bit. There's still an essence of truth there, but it's confused in something. So you begin to start to understand what those things all feel like, and get a better sense of recognition. So I'm thinking, as I'm talking to you, that since we have the Facebook page, and nobody knows that we're there, we can do whatever we want to there. Why don't we set up that um, you choose a day? I mean, you don't have to tell me what it is, but say on Monday, um, Patsy, I'll point you out, Patsy. I'll say, Patsy, on Monday, you decide, and I'll just use it as an example. You decide, I'm going to tune in to Jackie. And of course, since we're in the group, we're agreeing to exchange energies with each other. So you don't have to tell Jackie that you're going to tune into her, but it might be a polite thing to do. But say, I'm going to tune into Jackie for about 5 minutes during my meditation and see what I receive. And then post it on that Facebook page, the interactive Facebook page. And I want you to post it there because it'll be good experience for everybody to see what you're doing and how it's being received, and whether you questioned it or not, or if you interpreted it in any way. Say if you felt like it was a symbol, what did that symbol mean to you? And then Jackie would respond as she was able to. It's not like you have to do that right away, but that's the wonder of Facebook. You can do it when you are able. And then Jackie would respond and say, I could feel you connecting with me, and the information you gave me is right on, or this name doesn't make any sense to me, or give an explanation of how it is recognized. So then you'll be able to start using the Facebook page even better, and we'll have people interacting with Psychic Hits, and you'll get a confirmation one way or another whether it was true information, or if there was question about it, or you can expand on it then as it is being discussed. So and Patsy, I'm not saying you got to pick Jackie, or I'm not saying you have to use Monday. I'm just using that as an example because I know both of you are in the group. So that might even, it's not just our little group here that is on that page. Some other people that have taken other classes with me are also on the page, but they're not utilizing it as much as I'd like. So maybe that would actually give them some incentive to use the page more also. So there's a really great, interesting idea. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to post some content to go along with this that will reinforce the basket idea, and maybe a couple other things that that I'm going to pull out of the book that's going to have to do with this particular class. So I'm excited. I think this is going to really open up your intuitive, psychic, and mediumistic abilities. I feel like we're going to be able to interact with each other a little bit better and deeper. So I'm real happy. You guys take care. Bye-bye.